Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the first ever travel story time. So what is this? If you followed the other channel I did before this called Convention Reviews, then you'll know that on there, one of my most popular video series that I had was Convention Story Time. This is taking that idea, which was basically crazy things happened to me and my friends at conventions, and I would just talk about it, tell stories on that channel. It's pretty much the same thing, except with travel, because travel is so much bigger, so much wider audience, and so many more possible things can happen to you just traveling the world. So I'm going to use travel story times as a way to kind of fill the void a little bit between vlogs because it's taking me a long time to get some of these edited. Doing this, don't worry, it doesn't make the vlogs take longer because recording this and editing the story times are very easy compared to the vlogs. I can get them out pretty quick, just like that. So not that big of a deal. Doesn't take too much time away for me to edit the vlogs. So basically all this is I really like to tell stories, and I've got a lot to tell. I've really got a lot from the Philippines. This is basically going to be me going into much more detail on things that happen in the vlogs that, well, maybe they don't even get shown in the vlogs. There's some things that just don't get recorded or they don't come through correctly in the vlogs because there's so much else going on. But these things were big parts of the trip, and you don't even ever get to see them. Or maybe you see a little bit of it, but now I can really shed a lot more light and a lot more detail on that. I do also want to tell you guys that before I get into this story, and then we'll get into the first story, I want to let you guys know that if you go down to the description of this video, the top link is a link to a Facebook group called Cody's World Travels Community. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a group where if you go and join it, I mean, I don't expect anything too big right now because we're still kind of building things up. It's basically just going to be like for the biggest fans of the channel, people who want to know what's going on at all times, behind the scene things. If you're like, why is a vlog taking so long to come out? It's been like a week since he's put out a video. I'll probably talk about it on there. I'm also posting all the pictures from my trips that you guys don't get to see on YouTube, all of them. I have 600 from the Philippines I'm posting right now up on that group, and it's also just a good place to get to. I'll be on there. You can talk to me, ask me questions, get to know me a little bit better, as well as get to know other viewers of the channel and start to build a community over there. I've done this for convention reviews and it worked really well. There's members of the community who have just met up without me, just gone and done their own thing, and that could happen with you guys. You can meet travel buddies or get more into traveling just through the group. So go join that, and we'll see where that goes as it grows into the future. But join it, be active on there, ask questions, talk to me, talk to other people, and make it an awesome place. But without further ado, let's get into the first ever travel story time. So for the first travel story time, we are going to talk about the adventure getting to the Philippines. I had never been on a plane before going to the Philippines. I'd never traveled really outside of the country. I'd only been to Canada, and that was when I was a little kid. I barely even remember it. So this was a big deal for me. There's a specific part I want to talk about, but just building in a little bit. My brother and I, we left from Indiana, and we landed in LA. I had never even been to that side of the country, so I had never been to California, and we had a couple hours in LA, but not enough to really, enjoy it by any means. And we met up with our friend Taylor, who was not a childhood friend, but he was a very close friend from earlier in life when we used to train parkour and stuff like that. He was in that. And we found our way to the international terminal, and he didn't have his boarding pass. We all, turns out, had to get, he didn't have a boarding pass at all. He had to go and get it printed there, but none of us had boarding passes because we were on Delta, Chris and I, and we needed to switch over to China Southern. We were trying to figure out how we do that and where to get Taylor's boarding pass. Now, I had never been in an airport before. Like I said, I had never flown. This was the first time, so we were getting ready to be on our second flight. I'd never taken a connecting flight. Turns out you can just go up to like the desk or like the kiosk where the flight departs from, like your gate. They can print your boarding pass out right there. But we didn't know that because we're new to all this stuff. So Taylor and I go walking around to try to find his boarding pass, like where to get his boarding pass printed. And these guards tell us that we need to go down this certain area and that we can get it printed down there. So we don't have anything else to go on. So we follow through there and we end up at like the main area for international where everybody's getting their boarding passes printed. So Taylor waits in line and gets his boarding pass printed. And then we realize that we were out of security. Somehow we had walked outside of security because of where the guards told us we needed to go. So we were getting a little short on time at this time because we wasted a lot of time just hanging out, eating, and doing things like that because we didn't think that it would be a big deal. So we tried to go back through security, and they stopped me. They let Taylor go. They won't let me back through, even though I have the boarding pass that they gave me in Indiana, telling me that, I'm supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be on a plane there. They told me I have to go get my new official one printed where Taylor just got his printed, or they won't let me back through security, which I say is bull because they can print it for me at the kiosk at the gate. So they could have just let me through and I could have gone up and got it printed. It would have gotten through much faster. But instead I had to go back, wait in this line, and it's getting close at this point. So I get it printed, I go up, we have to wait through security. It took a while. And this whole time I'm freaking out because the plane is supposed to leave in like 30 minutes at this point. And we're freaking out, like I said. And I'm separated from Taylor. I don't know where he's at because he went on without me to tell Chris what was going on. Taylor didn't have his phone on him either. He had left it with Chris, who was waiting at the gate. I'm texting Chris this whole time. I'm like, dude, I don't know if I'm going to make this. I'm trying as hard as I can. The only way I made it, they opened up another line through security, and I was one of the first people in it that got moved over there. So I cut a large majority of the line. And I'm running, like legit running through this airport with nothing. I didn't even have anything to be checked because I left all my bags with Chris at the gate. So I just had to walk through the metal detector, but I still had to wait all the time. They wouldn't let me through. I'm legitimately running. I get to the gate as they're boarding, and Chris is like freaking out. I don't blame him because we barely made it, and we're like, you can see some of this in the vlog, but I didn't even have my camera on me. I didn't have it till I got back to Chris. But you can see some of this in the vlog. Straight freaking out, barely made it onto this plane. And this was our big plane that goes to China. Now we're going to get into the part of the story why I really wanted to tell this story. So we already had one crazy encounter getting to China from LA. We land in China like 14 or 15 hours later, something like that. And I have to pee really bad. That's all I remember is I had to pee so bad, like strong. But I couldn't go because we were like landing when I first started to have to pee, and they had closed the bathrooms already and they wouldn't let me go. So we get off and I'm like, okay, I got to try to find a restroom. But they're telling me like we might not have time because we only had an hour and a half layover to begin with. We were landing in Guangzhou. I don't know if anyone's been to that airport, but when you get off there, we didn't know this. It was the middle of the night, first of all. And we get off, it wasn't like an airport I had been to where you get off and you just, they have the long hallway thing that connects to the plane and you just walk through and you're in the airport. You're in security already and you can just walk to your gate, which is what we expected. Instead, you get off into nothing, into just an open area, and they have shuttles coming up. People are speaking Chinese. We don't really know what's going on, and we don't speak Chinese. And shuttles are coming up, and they're just pushing people onto these, really packing them full. And so we get on one. No idea where it's taking us, but we know where we need to go, and we only have at this point an hour to get there because it took a while for everyone to get off this plane. I mean, it was a large international flight. We were kind of near the back. It took a half an hour to get all our stuff together, get on this shuttle, and get going. So we get off, we're on the shuttle, and we're like, we've got to figure this out. And they take us, we just get off the first place they take us, which is transfers. So we go up these stairs, and then there's this huge line to more desks. And we're like, dude, we don't have time for this because we're pretty far back in the line. And we're like, we don't have time for this. This plane is scheduled to leave in an hour, not to board in an hour. It'll be boarding before that. We are waiting in this line and we're freaking out, and then we start hearing other people talk. Other people in the line are also there to go to Manila. We were all trying to get to Manila. Not everybody, but a lot of us were trying to get to Manila who had just come off of that China Southern plane. Because China Southern, they offer this really cheap flight. Like, it's like $200 to $300 cheaper than all the rest to get to Manila. And so we took it, but it's because it has this hour-long layover in China, which is like almost impossible to make. We're freaking out. We don't know how we're going to do this. Other people are like arguing with the security there, being like, look, our plane's about to leave. We need to get through this. We need to cut the line. And they're not letting it happen. They're like, no, you have to wait. You have to wait through transfers. And they're like, the next flight to Manila after this, if you miss it, is in the morning. So we would have had to spend the night in the Chinese airport, which looking back wouldn't have been that bad. That airport was gorgeous. So we're waiting in line, and there's this guy, another American, with 2 daughters, between like 6 and like 9, if I had to guess, somewhere in there. He started really arguing with the security, like, look, I just need, like, he's like, I need to get to Manila tonight. We have to get there. There's no exceptions. I've got to get my daughters there. Like, we've got to do this. And somehow he gets through to him. And then they start being like, suddenly they're like, everyone going to Manila, come over here, get into this line. And they opened up another line. And so we run over there really quick. We're a little far back, but it's not too bad though, because it's a lot less people than we were gonna have to wait through. And the guy up there is just like going. He's got this stamp. He's taking the boarding pass, like boom, go, boom, go, boom, go. Somehow we all make it through that and make it to our China flight, to our China to Manila, as it's boarding. Once again, just like LA, 2 in a row, barely made it. Once we're on the flight, it gets delayed, probably because they were letting more people get on. So we're just sitting there for quite a while, and I've still got to pee. I never got to pee. So all I'm thinking about is going to the bathroom, and they're not letting me go. They were telling me I had to wait. But while I'm sitting there waiting, I'm not eavesdropping or anything like that. I'm just like, I'm honestly looking around trying to see if they'll let me go to the bathroom. And I hear right across from me is the guy, the dad with the 2 daughters, who kind of got things sped up. Probably one of the only reasons we even made that flight. And I hear one of the daughters, they're all talking about the Philippines and stuff, and one of the daughters goes, so we're going to the Philippines because mom was from there, right? It was so sad to me. I'm assuming here, obviously I'm making big assumptions, making leaps, but the way she said it, mom was from the Philippines, as if the mother is not in the picture anymore. My assumption that she was dead, or I don't know. I have no idea, but that's what it sounded like. And he's like, yeah. So to me, it really hit me because it had been such a long day. I hadn't slept in a long time. It was really hard for me to get any good sleep on the flight over to China. I had to pee like crazy. My mind wasn't even in like a normal strong place. So when I heard this guy's daughter say that, all I could think about was how hard this guy was fighting to get on this plane. It almost made me emotional because I'm like, this guy, he's got his 2 daughters, and they're going to see like where their mother was from, and all he wants to do is get them on this plane to get there and have this good time and see like where their mother was from, where they're in a way from. And I don't know, it touched me, honestly. But later the plane took off. I got to go to the bathroom. We eventually made it to Manila, then to Cebu, and the trip was great after that. Lots more things happened, lots more stories to tell. But that's the first one I wanted to tell because, I mean, it was the beginning of the trip. Let me know in the comments below, guys, if you've experienced anything like any part of this story, because I know I went into a lot of detail on this one. They won't all be this long. Sorry about going on and on. Sometimes I ramble. Also, don't forget, please, to check out the link in the description, the top link. Go join that group so you can be like one of the #1 fans, one of the people who knows everything and is really in with the community. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and listening to my story. Let me know if you like this and you want to hear any more stories like this, or like you want to hear more travel story times. And like I said, let me know what stories you have to tell in the comments below, mostly about flying and things like that, since that's what this story was about. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.